Boys, today I am back, and these are the fights to make after UFC 325. The card took place 2 nights ago. It was a shit card, shit fights, other than, the 4 fights on the main card. Main event was a stinker. Prelims were a stinker. The card was like a 5 out of 10. 324 was way better, but we're here. I'm going to make some fights to make after UFC 325, and we're only doing main card fighters, all right? Because there was a bunch of no names on the prelims, a bunch of no names on the early prelims, so we're going to do main card only here. Let's get it started. First fight, Quillen Salkilld got the W over Jamie Mullarkey, and I think he should step in and fight Renato Moicano on UFC 326 on March 7th. This gives him a month, and Brian Ortega obviously out versus Moicano. I think this is a banger. I think this is an absolute banger. I think Quillen Salkilld should jump in, put his name, in the hat, offer to fight Renato Moicano in Vegas on UFC 326, back-to-back pay-per-views. It's a co-main event spot. I think this is a big spotlight for Salkilld. He'll get a lot of attention after just fighting on back-to-back pay-per-views, and I think he can style on Renato Moicano. Maybe Moicano could get him on the ground and control him, but Quillen Salkilld does have a good ground game, as we saw against Jamie Mullarkey. I mean, obviously Moicano's levels above Mullarkey, but I think this would be a banger. Salkild's probably going to be in the top 15 come Tuesday, and Moicano's coming off losses, so I don't think he has a lot of say. I think Salkilld should put his name in the hat and go fight Renato Moicano on the next pay-per-view. And if he wins that, man, it's a rocket ship for him. And he's already pretty popular, so. And he showed up on short notice against Nasrat Haqparast on pretty short notice, and he flew to Abu Dhabi, and that's a pretty long flight, or Qatar, sorry, and that's a long flight from Australia too. So he's done it before. Why can't he do it again? Big spotlight, nothing to lose here. I think he should fight Renato Moicano on UFC 326. This is a banger from me. Moving on. Jamie Mullarkey lost to Quillen Salkilld, and Tai Tuivasa got embarrassed by Talison Teixeira. Both of these guys need to retire. It's time to hang it up for both of these guys. Mullarkey's not UFC level anymore. Literally just got finished in like a fucking minute. So by a prospect, not even like a fucking long-standing UFC guy. So he needs to be cut. There's no point in keeping him on the roster just for him to lose. And Tai Tuivasa, it sucks. You're on now a 6-fight losing streak. You used to be one of the most entertaining guys, but this fight against Talison Teixeira was awful. It was a fun fight to watch. It was awful skill level. It was fun as fuck to watch. It was funny. You almost had him out of there in round 3, but you were too fucking out of shape, no cardio, so you had to hold him against the fence because you were going to die in the cage if you didn't fucking stop throwing punches. So you could have had him out of there in the 3rd round. Shitty IQ, but I don't think it was shitty IQ. I think you were just so tired you had to hold him up against the cage. So I think it's time for you to retire. You can make a lot of money with you have like a weed business and the shoey business. So do that shit and just be like an influencer or something like that, because fighting isn't it for you anymore. And yeah, these guys both need to retire. Both had shitty performances. Moving on, I'm kind of kidding. Jamie Mullarkey should retire and get cut. But if Tai Tuivasa, if they keep him around, just get him a win. Put him against Thomas Peterson, another fat blob who's awful. And maybe Tai can win this. Who knows, though, because he only had 1 round of cardio. So, I don't really have much to say. Tai Tuivasa, Thomas Peterson. Tai Tuivasa is going to be outside of the rankings at this point, and Thomas Peterson's ass. So, ass versus ass. Let's see who's asser. Moving on. Talison Teixeira did beat Tai Tuivasa. Not a good fight. Had 1 round of cardio too. Looked awful in the 3rd round. Got saved because Tai Tuivasa is an idiot and had no cardio. So he got saved by the other guy being fucking slower than him. So I think he should fight Shamil Gaziev next. It's a step up in the rankings. Gaziev's coming off a loss, so he needs someone to bounce back against. I think this would be not a good fight, but it would probably be funny because Gaziev's fat as fuck and funny. Talison is like tall as hell and, no skill and no cardio. So both of these guys have no cardio. It would just be another like Tai Tuivasa versus Talison Teixeira fight. And it would be entertaining and funny, but no skill level, and the heavyweight division's cooked. So that's all I got to say about heavyweight. Moving on. Rafael Fiziev did lose to Mauricio Rufy. He was looking so fucking good. But yeah, just got caught. And I think him versus Michael Chandler, if Michael Chandler doesn't fight Conor McGregor, I think this is a nice little fight. They're both jacked as fuck. They're both, they both are come across, and like the casual fan base thinks these guys are power punchers, but like real ball knowers, real knowledge, UFC guys like myself know that Fiziev has no power in his shots. Chandler has no power in his shots. If Chandler maybe threw straight, he'd have power, but he loops punches. So he's got absolutely zero power. So I think this would be a casual fan's delight, and it would be a good fight because they both go forward. I think they'd meet in the middle and strike, but both of them kind of have pillow hands. They're I don't know why, but from the casual fan base, they're known for being power punchers. But if you're real ball knowledge knowers, you know that these guys have pillow hands. And yeah, I think this would be a banger. Chandler needs a fight. Coming off losses. Fiziev coming off a few losses. I mean, I know he beat Bahamundez, but Bahamundez, I don't even know if he was ranked at that point. Maybe he was like 15th, but he's coming off a few losses against Gaethje. Blew his knee out against Gamrot. So I think this would be a bounce back fight for both of them, and whoever wins gets a decent win on their resume. So this would be a casual fan's delight, and it also would be a fun fight. So I think this is perfect matchmaking by me if Chandler doesn't get the McGregor fight. All right. I have to specify that. Moving on. Rufi, he did knock out Fiziev after he looked decent, but he didn't look the best. Supposedly he had some injuries going in. Volkanovski said that in the post-fight presser, so who knows what he was dealing with. But I think him versus Dariush, I'm sorry, Dariush, but I have to have you slimed out once again. I thought Dariush said he might move up to 170, so we'll see. But if he doesn't, I could definitely see this matchup being made. Dariush could, give him some problems with the wrestling, just like BSD gave Rufi problems with wrestling. I could see Dariush, taking him down and, holding him down and potentially subbing him. But this is a good fight to see if Rufi can show levels and show that he improved from the BSD fight. And I do think he would shuck off the takedowns, and I think he would absolutely destroy Beneil Dariush. And this would get him up into the 8th, 9th, up into the top 10, maybe 8th or 9th. So I think this is good matchmaking. I think this fight was rumored. Either Quillen Salkill versus Dariush was rumored, or this fight was rumored a long time ago, a few months ago. So maybe this was already talked about, but I think this would be a good fight for Rufi to show that he's improved in the grappling. And Dariush, I'm sorry, man, but you're going to get slammed out once again. My brother, I'm sorry. You're fucked. Anyway, moving on. Dan Hooker lost in the co-main event after looking so good. He looked like the best he's ever looked since the Dustin Poirier fight in this fight. But sadly, he is a dumbass. And in the second round, after defending a takedown from BSD, decides to shoot his own like a fucking dumbass. You're piecing the guy up on the feet, and then you decide to shoot for a takedown. The IQ on some of these guys is insane, but shoots for a takedown, doesn't get it, ends up on bottom, and then just get ground and pounded. Huge elbows, got cut. He's going to need some time off, as well as Paddy Pimblett, who needs some time off. And obviously, this is the fight to make. They have bad blood. They both said it's on site, so we'll see. I think this fight in the fall, September-October range would be good. Hooker just took a lot of damage. Paddy took a fuck ton of damage, so towards the end of this year on a pay-per-view, I think this should happen. Or if they maybe go back to London, this could headline a London card, but I think Paddy's more of a pay-per-view guy now, so this is obviously the fight to make. They both need some time off. Hooker was looking great, and I don't know who would win this. Genuinely, this would be a good fight. If Paddy does get him down, I think Paddy will show levels on the ground, just like everyone shows levels on the ground to Hooker, but if Hooker can stab at the body, Paddy got hurt to the body by Gaethje, and Hooker's got great teeps, so if some of those teeps land, Paddy could get hurt to the body. This is like a 50-50 fight to me, so it would be a good scrap. They both hate each other. They both need a lot of time off, so obviously this is easy matchmaking, all right? Moving on to the winner of the co-main. I think BSD versus Arman is the fight to make. Obviously, we need to see what happens at the White House first, because potentially Arman could fight Gaethje if Ilya moves up to 170. That is a possibility. But if Ilya stays and fights Gaethje on the White House, Ilya versus Gaethje, Max versus Holloway is booked. So yeah, those are the top 4 guys right there. Arman needs to get in the fucking cage and fight. I fuck with Arman, but he need to fight. In BSD, looking for a top-ranked guy. I think this would be a banger fight. I don't know who would win. I think Arman would win, but this would be an absolute war. I think it would be a great fight. I fuck with BSD heavy. I fuck with both of these guys heavy. I wouldn't want either one of them to lose, but I genuinely don't know who would win. Early, I would lean Sarukian, but I'm not sure. And Sarukian's out of the title picture, you know what I'm saying? Gaethje's probably going to be booked against Ilya. Ilya's booked, obviously. Max and Charles are booked. So, Arman, you're the odd guy out, and you need a fight. I think if you beat BSD, that's 2 wins in a row against Hooker and BSD, and then obviously you can fight for the title after that. I think Dana and the UFC wants you to get one more win, and BSD will probably be in the top 5. He might take Hooker's spot at 6, or he could move above Paddy into 5th. So Sarukian ranked first, ranked number 1, BSD ranked number 5. I think this is great matchmaking. Both of these guys, like maybe in the summer, I think BSD needs some time off. I think he said going into this fight, the camp was shorter. He wished he had more time, but he got Hooker out of there in the second round. So give BSD a little time off, then make this in the summer, and the winner will fight for the belt at the end of the year. Potentially, Charles obviously is going to fight for the belt and get back against Ilya once he slams out Max. But yeah, we'll see how the lightweight division plays out. A lot needs to play out, but I think this is a banger fight. Moving on to the main event, Diego Lopez did lose, and this is also another no-brainer. Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez sometime this summer. They have bad blood. Yair, where the fuck has Yair been? He beat Pitbull and then called for a title shot, and he hasn't been. That was in April of last year. So the next time he fights, it'll probably be a year. And they had bad blood. Lopez and Yair have bad blood. I think Diego needs some time off. I think he broke his foot in that 5th round. I think I saw that on social media. So he's gonna need some time off. Maybe July, August. This fight could happen. This could headline Noche in September. They could do that, or it could headline like a Mexico fight night or like a Texas fight night, or it could be on a pay-per-view. But I think this fight needs to happen. Diego's ranked 2nd. Somehow Yair's still ranked 3rd. They have bad blood. This would be a great striking match, and this is absolutely a no-brainer. Perfect matchmaking by me, but this is kind of a no-brainer. So not really much to say. This fight would be a banger, and they need to fight. They have bad blood, and Yair actually needs to fucking fight and not just keep sitting out. So moving on, the last one I'll talk about, Alexander Volkanovski won, and I think Evloev versus Murphy will be booked in March, and I think Evloev wins that. And then later in the year, this is Volkanovski's retirement fight, because I think Evloev will show Volkanovski levels and beat Volkanovski at the end of the year. This fight needs to happen. Evloev will have just beaten an undefeated Murphy. He will be 20-0, undefeated against Volkanovski. This would be a kind of a hyped up fight, although both of these guys are boring as fuck. Volkanovski going against an undefeated Dagestani guy after his feud with Makhachev. That would be fun. So the fight would probably be boring as shit because Volkanovski's boring as fuck and Evloev's boring as fuck too. But I think this fight needs to happen, and if Volkanovski win or lose, I think this will be his last fight. I think he wants to fight an undefeated guy. If he would have fought Murphy or Evloev on this card, I think he would have retired, but I think he wants an undefeated guy as his last fight, as his last legacy, add another name to his legacy. So I could see this fight happening December, maybe November, maybe October in Abu Dhabi. October, Abu Dhabi main event or co-main. Evloev from Russia and Abu Dhabi, that type. So this could be a nice little fight in Abu Dhabi. Evloev versus Volkanovski. I think this is perfect matchmaking by me. And obviously, if Murphy wins, it should be Volkanovski versus Murphy. But I think Evloev will beat Murphy. So that's why I have Evloev here. But if Murphy wins, Volk versus Murphy at the end of the year, around the same time frame. So those are the fights to make after UFC 325, after that mid-ass card. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.